Aloha, everybody. Welcome to the Hawaiiverse podcast, a podcast that supports local by realizing you officially reach auntie status when you're walking around and you hear your 5 bangles on your wrist jingling. I'm your host, Kamaka Diaz, and I think we all know an auntie like that. Before we introduce our musical guest and take this podcast higher than the clouds, I want to let you know that we created a Patreon account. For all those asking how you can support the podcast, this is the best way. We have 5 different tiers ranging from as low as $1 up to $50 a month with awesome benefits, so make sure you check that out. Shout out to our first Patreon supporter, Neil Young, who signed up for the Ohana tier. Mahalo, Neil, and welcome to the Hawaiiverse Ohana. All right, let's introduce our guest because I don't know if you know, but she's kind of a big deal.
Ta-da-nch.
Our guest today is an accomplished Native Hawaiian contemporary singer-songwriter with an easygoing island style from the island of Maui. She made her debut in 2009 and just a year later won 2 prestigious Nā Hōkū Hanohano awards for Most Promising Artist and Contemporary Album of the Year. This mother of one has performed and toured and shared stages with artists such as Bruno Mars, SOJA, Kimié, Tenelle, Fiji, Jack Johnson, Cas Haley, Ziggy Marley, and our past podcast guest, Jake Shimabukuro. With over 10 years of experience in the music scene, dozens of hit songs, and multiple awards, she remains grounded, rooted, and so very awesome. She is one of the top musical artists from Hawaii of all time. I am honored to have her here today. Her name is Anuheake'alaokalokelani Jenkins. Aloha, Anuhea. Welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Aloha, you nailed that Hawaiian name. Oh, you Hawaiian? You from Hilo?
I'm from Hilo, yes. And Hawaiian is my first language. So
I love it.
It'd be an injustice if I said that wrong.
Yeah. So happy to be here. Thanks, you guys.
Yes,
for
I'm happy
me.
It worked out. It was so quick. It happened very organically. You're here today. You just came from a rehearsal, so I appreciate you rushing over.
Oh, my pleasure. It is a hot day, so I'm anything to stay in the AC. Heck yeah.
Yes, it has been really hot recently, so
right.
I love the AC. I got to ask you before we get into things, does it ever get annoying when people use your lyrics as a joke, like how I did in the beginning?
I mean, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but yes. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, I did that on purpose because I wanted to see your reaction.
It's just like, oh, she's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
It's Anuhea. I'm like, yes, hello. It's
never heard that before. Did you? What is the most like creative one that you've heard?
Well, people annihilate my name. That's for sure. Like people will say like Anuhea. I'm like, where did the F come from? Like, yeah, people Anuhua. That's a big one. Or Andrea.
Oh,
I don't
really?
know. It's people don't get it,
yeah.
and they don't think I'm Hawaiian when they look at me or something. They wouldn't assume that it's a Hawaiian name.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
It's all good. Builds character.
Yeah. It builds resiliency, which is something we'll talk about today.
Okay.
Yes.
Shoot.
All right, so before we get into everything, I gotta know where you from, where you grad, and what was it like growing up?
Okay, yeah, so I am from the island of Maui, born and raised. I also, like you, which I read on your bio, went to Kulakaiapuni from kindergarten, 1st grade. My parents took me out in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, came back in 5th, so I was like in and out. But then went to Kimié over here on Oahu from 7th grade. I was only 11 years old when I became a boarder because my birthday is pretty late. So yeah, I was so young. And, I feel like that in hindsight, I was a little too young for me, like maturity level wise. But it was a great experience to just be so independent at a young age. And then, graduated from Kimié. And then went off to Chapman University, started jamming in my dorm room in high school at Kimié with Kimié, who was my roommate. And then I think it was my first heartbreak. My first boyfriend broke my heart when I was away at college, and that kind of triggered me really diving into writing songs. And so that's really what made me want to pick up my guitar and start making myself feel better. And then I started playing at coffee shops on Maui after I dropped out of college, by the way. And then started working at Charlie's in Paia, which is like a bar, restaurant, nightclub that had all kind of live music coming in. And it was just super inspiring. Started a band, and kind of the rest is history. I was posting stuff on YouTube and MySpace and met the right people, and it helped me get my first album out.
Wow, so you were discovered off MySpace, right? Is that
little
right?
bit? Yeah. Well,
bit?
My auntie is Nalani from Nā Hōkū Hanohano, but I was too ashamed to tell her that I sang. I don't know why. I was just too ashamed, and I was like, no, I'm not a singer. Like, my friend is the singer. And so I had like an identity thing, but she's like, girl. And so, yeah, I never felt like I was good enough, I guess.
Wow. So you were roommates with Kimié, who's your really good friend. So would you two just be harmonizing in the dorms, and the room advisor would just be like, "Shut up already, go to sleep."
Our entire bathroom, we had a quad, was lined with detention slips. She will tell you like wallpaper, because we're just silly. Like the detention reason would be like, Anuhea was hiding in Kimié's closet giggling during study hall. Like, like just silly. We were so funny and crazy back then. We loved Jackass. It had just come out, so we were like the female Jackass. We would like go to Waikiki and do video stuff and crazy like shopping cart stunts, and we were wild.
But you never really sang in high school?
No, so I was like the video production girl. I was like Jordan. I had my cameras, walking around with my tapes. I did the morning announcements, and Kimié in our group, we're so close. You're like sisters. So, like I guess other family dynamics might relate to that. Like when one is the football player, one is the this. So she was the singer, and I was the crazy video girl. So it took kind of us going away in our separate directions, I think, to really make me feel like, I really love singing too. And so now we're both doing it. We're both moms. We're still best friends, and awesome. it's great.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
So if we had MySpace today, would she be on your top friends list?
Duh.
Who would actually be on your top friends? That might be a hard question. Thinking about it today, it might actually be really hard and cause a lot of relationship problems, right?
That is crazy. Was it like 8? I think there was like...
You could top it. You could do like a top 64.
You could do more,
like,
right?
I think I had like a top 20 or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't know if I like that. But no, we had our 4 core besties in high school for sure. Like we lived in the dorms together. It was, we called ourselves the MPKs. We were like our little
MPK.
funny gang.
What did that stand for?
We literally just liked the letters MPK, and we just made up a word that stood for it. I don't even want to say it. It's so stupid. I'll let Kimié finish that story if you ever have her on the podcast.
Okay, yes, I'll bring that up, definitely. Okay, so I think you're one of the first like Hawaii artists that went viral, because when you started to get big, that was kind of the beginning of social media.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like what was that like, where you were just getting a lot of fame and like a lot of eyes on you all at once?
Well, yeah, you're right about the fact that when I was first coming out was right when like YouTube was popping, and I don't know if people remember this. You might have been too young, but I got a lot of publicity right when I first came out because my guitar was stolen out of the back of my truck in Waikiki, and the news caught wind of it. Like, up and coming singer-songwriter Anuhea gets her guitars and computers stolen from the back of her truck in Waikiki. And like I had gone surfing and then came back and my windows were all down. My laptop, my Auntie Naleni's like prized guitar was stolen. And we ended up finding the guitar at some pawn shop, and somebody had my laptop too, so it ended up being like a success story. But yeah, like all the news stations ended up at my house in Hawaii Kai, like interviewing me, like in tears, like I just want my stuff back. And people thought, that's a great publicity stunt. I'm like, no, it was legit. But like, yeah, you're the girl with the stolen guitars. Wow. I'm like, yes, that was me. But I know that's not necessarily viral, but that was definitely good publicity.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I don't remember that.
No, yeah, you were probably still in elementary school.
Take some tips.
Stage stolen guitars.
Guitar. I don't even sing, but wow, that's awesome. I mean, not awesome that your stuff was stolen. No, it is awesome
because I got it all back.
It was awesome that it ended up being okay, and So this was after you came back from college.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you studied film over there, right? Because you said you were in film. Okay, and then what led to your first album? Award-winning
Mahalo.
album.
So that first album was the songs that I had written up in my entire life up until that point. So I had been collecting songs like in my Hello Kitty diary, and I even ran for Miss Maui for one season. Excuse me.
Nice.
Excuse me. And I sang an original song as like my talent for the talent competition for the Miss Maui. So I had all of those songs were all collected and released in my first album. We went to LA and worked with a producer, and I was like locked in the studio for about a month and a half and got it paid for by this new up and coming label that my auntie was a part of, and my manager at the time, Warren Wyatt. So I owe a lot to them for helping, get me off the ground from a little coffee shop singer to finally recording, all my songs. And it was such a amazing experience that I've never recreated since then. Like to be able to lock yourself in a studio for a month and just do your music. Because otherwise I'm always like fundraising to make money for it, like doing Kickstarters, or have to go and check on my kid, or have a couple shows in between while I'm trying to record an album. So to be able to be locked up in a studio, that's pretty awesome. I hope someday I can do it again.
Yeah, I think life comes at you real fast and everything starts to pick up, so it's hard for us to slow down.
Slow down is so hard. Yeah.
Do you ever miss that time where
simpler times?
Yeah, simpler times.
Yeah, I do. But I just love, being a mom so much that I can't imagine my life without my kid. It's hard to be away from him ever. He was actually supposed to be here today. Yeah. Shout out to my son. He's at football practice right now.
Training to be in the NFL, right?
Hopefully.
First round draft pick. Let's
Buy
go.
mommy a house. Yes, baby.
Okay, cool. This episode is brought to you by Silly.com. Based in Maui, Hawaii, Silly.com believes psychedelic medicine is the future of mental health. For the millions of people worldwide struggling with mental illness, access to therapeutic plant medicine is a ray of hope. Silly.com is here to share these therapies with the world. Because in the current medical health landscape, certain therapies are not working and the problem is only getting worse. They believe that the plant got it right. That is why Silly.com is focused on natural psychedelic therapies that create better, safer treatments and will help speed up the FDA approval and legalization process so people can get more effective help faster. They call this the new standard of pharma. Mahalo to Silly.com for supporting the podcast, and check them out on their website. That's psly.com. So what was the process of writing the songs for that album like? Because you had a lot of hit songs on that one.
I mean, I don't know if I really did. I feel like the second album might have had more, like, the ones that people might, make funny jokes about.
Like, that was the second album.
Well, Big Deal was on the first one.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much like
Right, Love.
Oh, you remember that song too? Well, because you're Big Island. Big Island played a lot more in my songs than Oahu radio stations.
I was a junior in high school, I think. So I was like, around that time.
You were my target market.
I was hip.
No, so I mean, it was just my life. Like, Big Deal, I co-wrote that with a songwriter in LA, but I, loved the movie Anchorman. I was in film and I was the anchor person for Kimié School's Puka Mai Kala. So I was like, he said that stupid cheesy pickup line in the movie, like, I don't know if you know, but I'm kind of a big deal.
I just saw that clip on Instagram recently. It just popped up randomly. That's so crazy. It was based off of that?
Yeah, that's how I wrote that song about that.
Yeah, that's so funny when he's talking to the girl, right? Yeah.
Veronica Corningstone, yes.
Wow.
But then, right love, wrong time. I was dating this guy and he just couldn't get it together. I'm like, bruh, you're the right love at the wrong time. And it's very specific about like the details. Like, he was a surfer and he was tall and, so I was very open. I don't want to be like comparing myself to Taylor Swift, but you know how Taylor Swift always goes kind of more specific about the people so I guess that was me back then. I was no holds barred. I just talk about my true feelings. Now I'd be like too ashamed to really get deep, but I want to try and be more open.
Yeah. I think that really came off in those songs because it was so relatable.
Yeah,
right. Because when you're vulnerable, it makes other people more comfortable. Being vulnerable and like feeling empathetic. About like, oh, that person is going through something I'm going through, and like hearing songs. These songs or poems, whatever, raps, they say things that we think of, but we don't know how to express sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think you did that right in the beginning, so that's why a lot of people just loved your songs.
Thank you.
Yeah. At least for me. I mean, like, I couldn't necessarily relate to every single one. I still needed to get a little bit more life experience as a junior in high school, but now looking back at it, I'm just like, Anuhea was on to something.
I know, and you know what? You're right, because I've been on this journey, which hopefully we can maybe talk about a little bit today, but just, this path of self-discovery, this soul-searching odyssey, this like ascension path into like reminding yourself who your true authentic self is, like, because it all along, but sometimes you get lost along the way. And I feel like that's kind of been the past, few years for me, figuring out again, like, to get back to your simple, authentic self. And so that's what's challenging me in my songwriting, to get back to that place where you're not jaded, more vulnerable, more open, because that's how you level the playing field. And you're right, touch more people's lives.
Yeah, I think because of social media too, where you're you're in front of more people, it kind of creates a wall where you feel a little bit more
judged.
Yeah, judged. So you don't want to really show things. Because I remember you mentioned when off the podcast, you saw me with the long hair doing my race 50K.
Yeah.
So I was posting every single day on social media, like my whole entire life, morning to day, everything I was doing. So after that, I was so burnt out. And I didn't want to share anything about my personal life after that. So it's almost like I became more guarded. So even I've been going through this journey of this in the past year, trying to like get back to like, oh, why don't I post any like silly, stupid stuff like I used to when Snapchat was around, you know?
Right.
Like trying to get back into that instead of just thinking like this is all business.
I think we're thinking too much.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what, you're on the same exact vibe as me. I feel you.
Yeah. So I do want to talk more about like how the pandemic affected you and like all these things like you have your podcast where you talk about mental health. But I want you to tell us about your movie debut. That's, I just found out this morning.
I know. It's so cool. So random. It was, oh man, I gotta just explain how this like happened. Like I've been, like I said, trying to like figure out ways to get back in touch with myself after going through a lot of downs recently. And one of the things I tried, and I'm like, I was raised Christian. Like I don't want it to be like a religious thing, but I'm trying all different avenues and ways of self-care, self-discovery, like Oprah, she has her religion, but then she's also into like Reiki and she learns about other religions and what that can bring. So that's what it was. I actually experienced an aura reading for the first time. She took your aura. It's Christine Kozuki from Pink Moon Aura on Maui. Shout out to my girl in Makawao. And she took your picture and she could see your aura. And along with that, you can read your chakras and you can see which ones are open and closed and which ones are overactive or underactive. And it was just so enlightening. That experience like really affected me. And I was like really learning more about, okay, why is it that I'm closed off in these areas? So she's like, you can do something called Reiki where they're moving energy through your body. And I'm like, oh, I would do that the next time I'm on Maui. She's like, actually, I can do it distance. All you got to do is just lay there and be ready to receive this energy that I'm sending towards you. And that's pretty much as simple as it is. And so that's what happened that night. I was like laying in bed. I was like, all right, she's sending me, I put on like, there's like Spotify playlists, like chakra healing, like energies and weird sound bowl sounds and stuff. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And it's, the power of prayer is on that same wavelength, you put your intentions into the energy of the world and it will make your dreams come true. Woke up the next morning after that feeling like really different. And then I got a phone call from my old stylist who's like, can I give your number to this casting agent? She wants to get in touch with you. I think she's casting for a movie. I'm like, wait, what? And I'd always wanted to do movies because I was in plays or anything more in acting because I was in plays and stuff when I was a kid and even at Kimié. And so, yeah, I ended up calling her back and she's like, audition for this movie if you want. You get to play yourself as like a host for this. I can't tell too much about the movie. But so I'm like, okay, so
I'm gonna cut you off there before you get in trouble from the agency.
I know, I did get in trouble already. But no, so I just sent an audition tape. Like they make you read the script and I set my camera up on a tripod in my room and I kind of felt stupid. I'm like, no, just do this. And I freaking did it. And then I freaking got the part. I was like, oh my God, it's because of the Reiki. And then 2 weeks later, and it just so happened that I had nothing on my schedule. Like normally I'm always working every weekend, but I actually had a few days off that we were filming. So it was perfect. They flew me first class over to Oahu. I had like a trailer and a makeup team and freaking wardrobe. It was so freaking cool. And the movie's coming out next week. August 21st. So whenever this airs, check it out.
Yeah, it'll be channel. Out already by the time they listen to this.
Okay, so yeah, it's called Groundswell. And it's starring Lacey Shubber from Mean Girls. She's the girl from Party of Five, Mean Girls. And she's not mean at all. She's the sweetest, nicest, sweetest girl. And yeah, so it'll be super exciting to see. I hope I look cool.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm excited to see it. I'm not a big Hallmark movie guy, except during the Christmas season when they have those like 25 days of Christmas or something.
They're really pushing some limits and some boundaries with this one. So I think maybe it will open up to some new potential, viewers.
Awesome. Yeah. Do you think you would do more movies, or right now you're more focused on music?
I'm open to everything. I mean, it's all kind of the same at the end of the day, sort of. Like, it's all related to one another. I mean, they were, musicians who are cameos in movies, sometimes they're playing their own music. Or when I was on Hawaii Five-0, actually, I was on Hawaii Five-0 for an episode. I was playing my song, Simple Love Song, in the background. And that was another cool, like, exposure opportunity. But this one, I had actual, like, lines. So we'll see how it goes. If it turned out good, I think maybe that might open some more doors. But yep, I'm open to it all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Was Simple Love Song on the first album too?
No, the second one.
Second one, okay. I guess the first two, I really
They're blending into one.
They're blending into one, yes.
Yeah.
How long apart were they?
9 and 12 or 11. So yeah, a couple years.
Okay, so yeah, I was kind of around the same time.
Yeah.
All right. All great songs. Classics. Classics. All right, so speaking of, music, playing music, we had this thing called COVID come and affect all of us back in, early 2020 and, still making its way through town these days, but not as bad. So what was that like, especially being a musician?
Yeah.
Not being able to do what you love to do.
Right. That was really hard for me. I had a really, really rough time. So, I mean, if I'm trying to be true to myself and be really open and vulnerable, like we were just talking about before, I want to be honest about my life a little bit. Like, we're sometimes scared to be vulnerable, but I feel like that is our kuleana, especially if, I felt the tugging on my heart as my life's purpose is to inspire. Like, I figured that out. That's my life's purpose, to inspire. So I'm saying all this because I'm about to like share some like very personal information, but I really want it to be positive upswing at the end of this conversation. But yeah, so I got married in 2020, March of 2020, actually February, February of 2020. And then of course the pandemic hit in March or, a few weeks later. And so not only was, the world shut down, but I just had this wedding and now I'm in this new marriage and the whole entire world is different. Like our dynamic of our relationship is completely changed, just like everybody else's. But I think it's even a little more intense maybe when it's a newlywed thing, like all the plans that you might have had right away. And then to have a child as well, like it was just really hard. The income, is hard when you're making so much money or XYZ amount of money. And now the dynamic has changed with the breadwinner. That all had really hard effects. So, at the end, like our marriage didn't survive. Like we're no longer together. And that was probably the hardest part of the whole entire pandemic. But there are so many positives that came out of it as well. And just that soul searching odyssey and this ascension path that it spun me on, like actually had to break it down to build it up all over again. That was one of my song lyrics in my first album too, From Here I Go Again. Sometimes you gotta completely break it down to build it up stronger. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Wow. I love that perspective, and mahalo for sharing that with everybody.
I know, I'm shaking.
I know it's not easy, but we really appreciate it. And
well, McKenna Maduli had a whole episode of Talk Story about my wedding and finding my wedding dress and be like, girl, where's your freaking husband? I'm like, I know.
I actually watched it. I remember seeing that. I remember seeing it. It was a nice dress.
Thank you.
Yeah, it suited you very well.
I mean, thanks.
Yeah.
Anybody want to buy it? No, I'm just kidding.
I do remember that, actually. Wow. Yeah.
I know, but no, just keeping it real. Like even before I started my little mental health podcast, which we can talk about too, I used to go live on Instagram and I used to call my little, I guess it was a podcast before I knew what a podcast was. It was called Keeping It Real While Maintaining the Aloha. That was like the theme. Like I have a lot of aloha. I am a nice person, but sometimes I want to just keep it real and be unfiltered and stuff. And that was a great therapeutic tool for me. So how could I keep it real with all of you guys listening if I was lying about the fact that, I had a I guess, failed marriage? I can't keep that in. I have to be honest and transparent about it. So there it is.
I love that. I think, so having these conversations with local figures like you and all the past podcast guests, it really brings people down to earth and lets people see they're just like us. I met this guy who has a lot of money recently, millions, multi-million dollars. I was asking him kind of some questions that I would ask to my podcast guests. And one question I asked, his answer was that I have the same problems as everyone else. That really opened my eyes to I mean, I kind of know that, you know, we're all kind of the same. You know, our statuses are the only thing that differentiate us. But to hear that from like somebody who's been very successful, like, you know, millions of dollars, to be like, the only difference between you and me is my money.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, we all have the same problems we go through. We have struggles in our relationships. We have financial problems. You know, some people more than others sometimes. But we're all going through similar things. But people just don't talk about it. That's why we don't know.
Exactly. And that really kind of makes you remember too, like, what is really money when the true wealth is like health, right?
Health
like mental health, physical health, no matter how rich you are, you could still get sick tomorrow or, you know, and money can't necessarily save you from any of that. So that's why mental health is another big one, no matter how much money you get. If you got mental problems or you're not happy or you're not satisfied or not living in your life's purpose, your chakras aren't aligned, you're going to be suffering just like anybody else.
Yes, I love that. I feel you have a lot of McKenna Maduli energy right now.
Really?
Yeah,
I actually didn't get to catch her podcast.
She had a hat just like you too.
Oh, no,
yeah.
She's one of my best friends too. Hi, McKenna.
You're right vesticle. Left vesticle. Left vesticle.
She's my left vesticle.
Yes. Yeah. I did my research.
That's so funny. Yes.
Yeah, so let's talk about your podcast, because I listened to a couple episodes and I really enjoyed them.
Thanks for listening. Yeah, I don't have like a camera crew or nice microphones or anything. Like it was mostly for me to get it out of my system. Like during the pandemic, you know, while things were at its lowest low, I kind of hit a rock bottom moment where I was like, I need help. Like, I need to get away from this normal reality. I had driven myself to working so hard that I wasn't taking care. I didn't even know what self-care was. So I decided to really commit to taking care of myself. And I ended up going away for 1 month to this holistic, like, rehab facility on the Big Island where, you know, it's mental health based, but it's also like for addiction, drug addiction. So there's a lot of different types of people who are there, amazing staff, and just lots of therapy. Like, I've never done therapy ever in my life before that experience. And then just to be away from all the temptations and everything in this normal world, even the responsibility of motherhood. Like, I had to make sure that everyone in my ohana was on board for me to be away for 1 month. And, you know, I could still have my cell phone. It wasn't like I was in jail or anything, but it really did reset everything for me. That one changed my life. And when I got out of there, I wanted to continue that trajectory of like everything I had learned. You know, I hadn't had a drink. I hadn't had even a cigarette I was getting 8 hours of sleep every night, like eating healthy food again, like doing yoga. Like, I was just on this great vibe. I'm like, okay, I'm never going to stop this. So I started this podcast where we talk about mental health. My husband at the time is a professional baseball player, so he had left to go back to baseball. So I was like alone at home, and that really helped me get through, because I would have a guest, you know, that I would talk with on Zoom, usually just my best friends. Like, one of my best friends on every episode have a different best friend that I just talk story with, and the theme is mental health, but we would talk about anything related to that in their lives, and they would kind of try to help figure me out, like, what's wrong with me, friend? Like, tell me what's wrong with me. And then, you know, in the best ways. And then they would just get me through it. And that was great. I've kind of been tapering off on recording the podcast lately, just because my music schedule is getting so busy again, which is a good thing, but I do miss it. I do miss and it's also a Patreon tier of mine too. Like, you guys have your Patreon group. Because another thing, how you said, like, sometimes you're scared to be super vulnerable. I didn't want to just post all this super personal stuff just on my Instagram feed when people just like see tits and ass or something, you know. This is my heart and my so I kind of made a little bit of a barrier, you know, $5 a month. If you go through the work to sign up, then you can see that into my heart. And then of course there's bigger and better tiers, and depending on how involved you want to become. But yeah, that was a great therapeutic tool for me, along with the therapy and all of that. And you know, I started drinking again. Like, I'm human. I'm not perfect, but it was for a long time such an amazing thing to get me out of a dark place. So thankful for that.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for you sharing this again with us. And I listened to the episode on the podcast where you talked openly about it.
Yeah,
and it was
I'm
cool.
like, I had a drink, guys. I'm sorry.
And I love how you were open to feedback from your friends? Like, I think it was the episode with Justin Kavika Young where you were telling him like, hey, what do you think about this? Like, help me get through this. And you were talking to him about some other stuff. And I like that. I feel like that's how conversations should be, not just one-sided, where we should like listen and not necessarily ask for the answer, but just different perspectives. Because that's what it's all about. I think a lot of times when we ask people, we're just hoping that they either tell us what we already think and what we want to hear, or they tell us something that we don't want to hear, but we get upset with them.
Right.
So I think this opening your mind to just be like, okay, I'm asking just because I want to hear a different perspective. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with you, but I just want to know what you think about this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to be able to receive that was a big thing that I had to grow into as well. Like during my therapy, like, why do you get so defensive when anyone gives you criticism? And, that was one of the things through therapy I had to work toward, getting rid of your ego. It's all amazing life lesson stuff. I'm like, why didn't I know this earlier? Like, I felt like so frustrated my whole life up until learning that like secret. So
yes, I think because of the career you're in, like I said, a lot of things happen so fast. Plus, you were like a breakout star where, things just came at you all at once, right? It wasn't like this slow build up. It was just like, boom. Yeah. You got all this. And it's like, you barely have time for yourself to reflect, to, disconnect. Like my time when I was in Peace Corps, Madagascar for 2 years, living in the middle of nowhere, no Wi-Fi, no running water, stuff like that. I love the idea of being able to disconnect in order to reconnect with others, with yourself. And that was such a spiritual journey for me too, just to think about everything in life.
Yep.
And yeah, it is nice. So like when you go away and you take away all these distractions, like you're only left with you and your thoughts. And like, what are you going to do? You're going to try to, better yourself.
Absolutely. Because you got to hang out with yourself for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So you learn about your demons, your strengths, your weaknesses. So yeah, I can see how, with all the craziness that happens in your life, how, you can easily get burnt out and kind of forget to just be like, okay, wait, what about me?
And this is on such a small level. Like I can only imagine like people who blow up mainland internationally huge, or other stuff like that, how hard that must be, and that's kind of, I think, maybe why you see the sad stories of child actors or people like hitting rock bottom or becoming addicted to drugs or, God forbid, like hurting themselves, because it's freaking a lot to handle.
How do you handle it now?
I have a lot of tools in my arsenal now. Yeah.
What do you got?
So, breathing is a huge one.
Underrated.
So underrated. It is free. It's just the easiest.
Take off your mask and breathe.
That's probably why it's hard. We're going to have masks on. But no, that one's a big one. Living with gratitude in the forefront of my mind every morning. Like Kimié actually taught me this thing that she does with her group meetings with her coworkers and stuff that are on her team. They start every Zoom meeting with 2 things that they're grateful for, and that just puts everybody into a good vibe and helps remind you like, what's important in life, and then you can start getting down to business. So I love the gratitude thing, being open and vulnerable and sharing, and then that community, AA meetings, you all share. There's a reason why there's a successful, thing and church, everyone's sharing their testimony. There's a reason why people share, is because it brings you closer. It helps you know that you're not alone. So for me, that was my podcast and my Patreon group. Sometimes I had a subdivision of one of my Patreon groups. It's called Aloha Thyself. It's actually a song that will be on my next album as well. Awesome. But it's mostly about that, like taking care of yourself first so that you can aloha everybody else. It's the tale as old as time. We all know this. Fill your cup, put your mask on before you put the oxygen mask of the person next to you. We all know this, but sometimes
we forget it very easily.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to take a step back and realize that, when everything's happening right in front of you, it's just like, it's hard to focus. And
breathe.
Forget to breathe. Everybody, if you're listening to this, take a deep breath and breathe with us. I'm kind of curious when you went to this holistic treatment center. Did they? Was it more just like practices or like actual like external things like weed or like shrooms? Because like so one of the sponsors that we had on the podcast, they worked with psilocybin. Like treating mental illnesses with psychedelic treatments.
Oh, that's an interesting topic.
Yeah, so something that I still don't know too much about, but I've been trying to learn more about it because I'm all about natural stuff.
Yeah.
I've never done anything in my life, but it sounds really interesting because how these things, like even mushrooms, I just recently learned that they're more related to humans than they are related to the plant kingdom.
Oh, really?
So you know that they have like the whole directory, whatever it's called, for plants. They had to create a new section for mushrooms because they're not really related to plants.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I will research that more.
Yeah, and there's documentaries on Netflix that I haven't gotten a chance to watch yet. But just talking with this guy and their company, learning about what they do, it sounds super interesting, and it's kind of like this new innovation where there's this negative connotation on drugs.
But is it drugs? Right.
Yeah,
like,
but it's natural, and if they have health benefits to people with like mental disease like PTSD and anxiety,
sleep disorders,
ADHD, like all these things.
So to answer your question, this place, holistic, holistic based, there was 2 doctors that were a part of this. There was the totally holistic doctor, Dr. Haley, shout out Dr. Haley. He was all about that. Like he was all about ayahuasca, mushrooms, naturopath. He was a naturopath. You take your supplements every morning and stuff. But then there's some things that if you have like severe multi-personality disorder or, severe any of these things, like sometimes it might not work, or you want the option of having a real medical doctor or like, a traditional medical doctor, I guess. I don't know if that's the word, traditional. I mean, traditional is what's traditional. But yeah, there was a guy who could write you prescriptions as well. So I kind of was a combination of both. I was experimenting. They didn't give me mushrooms at the place. That's a whole other story we can talk about later. But they don't prescribe the mushrooms or anything, but the doctor would talk about it and recommend it if that was something that he felt that was good for you. But he also did stuff like acupuncture and a lot of yoga. The Reiki was an option as well. But then, some people, they were just like, no, this is not working for them. They need their scripts. So then they would get their real prescriptions. So I've experimented with that because my anxiety was the biggest thing that was a problem with my mental health. And I've shared this on my Instagram too. Like I used to have paralyzing anxiety before shows. And that was surprising to a lot of people because they're like, but you do this for every day. I'm like, for some reason it got worse. Like over the years, I used to like not care, and then it got really bad. And then I used to self-medicate with like alcohol. I would drink wine or have a shot of Crown. I even have a song called Crown Royal where I talk about me falling in love with the king. The king is Crown. Like it's a song about alcohol. But I didn't want to have to be reliant upon alcohol, especially after being a mom and having to not drink during my pregnancy. I was like, okay, I want to be better. I can do this without alcohol. But the anxiety got really bad. So, learning all the different tools was the one. And now it's like a combination of all of the above. I will have a glass of wine, but I know how to breathe now. I, do my yoga, make sure I get my sleep. Maybe mess around with some mushrooms sometimes, but it's all good.
Everything in moderation. That's what it is. It's about balance.
It is.
Yeah. I was even talking to this guy who's been an acupuncturist for 30 years and asked him, he's all into holistic healing, acupuncture, but how does he feel about Western medicine, like prescriptions?
Western medicine, that was the word I was looking for. There you go.
And he just said it's all about balance because, you can try all these holistic, treatment, naturopathic, I think that's the word, treatments, but sometimes, it doesn't work for certain people. So, you have to try, maybe just like taking antibiotics. And he said for him, it worked. So I think it's really just about, people listening to them. Individual health, what you feel is right. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Every body is different. Every mind is different. Everybody has different lifestyles and different things in their life. Like it's easy to not have a glass of wine if you are surrounded by people who don't drink. But if you have choke people drinking all around you, you might have more anxiety not having a glass of wine because you're freaking trying to stop people from giving you alcohol the whole time. It's like, shut up, I'll just have a glass of wine to shut you all up. And that's a perfect balance, you know? I feel like we all need to just have grace for ourselves and our situations. There is no right, there is no wrong. I mean, unless you're, like, I don't know, doing something totally evil. Like,
yeah, like killing people. And,
right.
You know,
like,
don't do that. Please don't do
there's
that.
no definition of normal. Like, that's what I learned, I think, through the journey too. Like, normal, what is that? Like, we make our own normal.
Yeah.
What a family looks like.
Yeah. Normal is just a setting on a dryer. That's one of my favorite quotes I've seen.
I like that one. Very cool.
Yes. So do you still get nervous and, you know, anxious for certain things?
Yes, it comes sometimes. But like I said, I know what my triggers are too. Like and you know, it's energy a lot of the time too. It's like people sucking it out of me. And that was whole another category. And we talked about this on my podcast many times, like the boundaries. Like I didn't know what boundaries were. Like I would go after my shows and give everybody honeys and kisses and hugs and like talk to them and oh, I love your music, Anuhea, because I thought that was what was gonna that's what I'm supposed to do. That's gonna make me happy. But then I kind of realized that does suck a lot of my energy out. I'm depleted afterwards. I'm not gonna be able to do this again tomorrow night if I do that every night, like unless I fill that cup again somehow. So, you know, and some people do have ill intentions. Like some people will be nice to your face, but actually be super evil behind your back. And I kind of was oblivious to that as well. So just protecting your energy, protecting your heart, refilling it, figuring out other ways to give back to your fans. Like I said, like I'll talk to you all day on Zoom. If you're my Patreon people, it's $5 a month. Like you can do that. Like I'm not going to come out every day and honey everybody in line because it ruins my voice too. Like, you know, and then also boundaries with friendships and even family members. Knowing how close to let them, like, oh, can I stay at your house for a month? Like, maybe that's not, maybe the old me would do that, but the new me is a little more protective of my sacred space and the energy I have inside of it, because it's my sanctuary. I need to rebuild there.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that a lot. Like, you know, creating boundaries. And you don't know it until you go through it yourself. You know, you don't know you're going to be burnt out until you're burnt out. Right. And then, you know, important keyword, you said triggers, you know, like then you start to notice these things like, oh, I think I'm this what I'm doing now is leading me on a path to where I'm going to get burnt out again. So now you notice it, you're aware of it.
Warning signs,
And then you can, you know, do something else and be like, hey, sorry, I can't go out tonight. Gotta rest.
Totally.
Yeah.
Making every mistake first.
Exactly.
Learning from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say it's not a mistake if you learn from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, one thing that helped me early on for like being nervous is like I say I don't get nervous anymore ever.
Really?
Like people ask me like, oh, do you get nervous? You know, talking to all these big people, Bretman Rock, you know, BJ Penn came on, you know, all these people. I said no, because I saw this really early on, like from a TED talk or I forget what it was. But they said that nervousness and excitement come from the same part of your brain. So there's no physiological difference in our body when you get nervous or excited. It's just about how you shift your mindset and how you look at it. So instead of being like, oh, I'm so nervous, I have to talk with Anuhea, you know, she's a big superstar from Hawaii. I just shift my mindset and I think, oh, I'm so excited that I get to talk with her. I get to learn her story. I get to share my story with people, you know? So like for public speaking as well, it's like, oh, I'm so afraid to get in front of these people. I just think, oh, I'm so excited I get to, you know, share this environment, this crowd, this with everybody. So I think just shifting your mindset is like, I'm a big believer in the power of the mind.
Cognitive behavioral therapy. Telling retraining your brain to think a different way.
Exactly.
Nervous-sighted is a word that I've used often, actually. Nervous-sighted. Like, are you stoked? I'm like, I'm nervous-sighted, but I'm ready.
Yes. Yeah, cool. once I start to feel like that nervousness, I'm just like, no, I'm excited.
Yeah, and you can tell your energy is very calm and like, from even just communicating with you before the podcast. So that probably brings a lot of people at ease and helps them want to open up. And so it's perfect for this kind of thing. Yeah. Good job.
Cool. So we're going to get into Instagram questions right now because we had a bunch. So I just chose, I couldn't choose everybody's, but I appreciate everybody leaving some questions. Vic Garcia 3, this person was really excited. DM me aside from putting a question in with just like an emote, like a GIF, with like really excited person, just like,
all right, man, let's go.
He wants to know, what is your favorite song to perform?
What was my favorite song to perform?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Oh, kalamai. Let's see. Probably the newest song that I have at the time, whatever the newest one is. So like right now we just came from rehearsal. We're doing that Lizzo song. It's about that time.
Oh, nice.
We're just like, let's throw this fun one in for all the reggae concerts just to throw people off. Or we even do like I'm Real by J-Lo, and I mix it in with my newest song, Galaxy, to kind of do a little mashup. So those are always exciting because I get to see people's reactions when they figure out like, oh my God. But I think of if I have to have like a classic, probably Higher Than the Clouds. It still gives me feels. It's just my first love story, and I know it's a lot of people's favorite. So and it takes me back to Maui every time I sing it, and I like it.
Yes. So. Oh, millions of streams on Spotify.
Right on.
Okay. What Jamazin, I think that's how you said it.
Jamazin,
86 wants to know, what was your craziest tour experience?
Oh boy, so many. I'm actually collecting all my stories for a book that I'm trying to write.
I love that.
Watch out, all the people who've toured with me in the past, all you brought us. No,
she's about to expose all of you.
But no, we have so many fun memories. I mean, we grew up doing our thing. Like I was on tour with the Green when we were first coming out. We shared our first tour bus together. We went across the whole entire country playing for people, like 5 people. Like no one knew who we were. But it was just, we were growing up together. So I've had some crazy ones. Let me think. I don't know, maybe like the first South by Southwest we ever went to, just like little girl from Maui in the big city acting a fool.
That's in Texas?
Austin, Texas, yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
You're trying to say, well, how much should I tell them?
I know. But I have so many amazing memories. But Bombay, I'll share them.
Okay, yeah. Stay tuned for the book.
I know.
Yeah. Or sign up for the highest tier under Patreon. Maybe she'll give you some exclusive access. Okay. Smallkind_wahine wants to know, what's your favorite beauty tip?
That's one of my Patreon girls.
Oh,
Hi,
right
Shine.
What's up?
What's my favorite beauty tip?
Yeah.
She's so cute. Let's see. Well, to be completely honest, I totally do the Botox thing. Whatever. I'm 36. I'm a mom. I used to play water polo, so I had a lot of sun damage, and I feel like the facials and stuff that they do are so freaking amazing nowadays. Like even men should try it. It just really helps with sun damage, especially living in Hawaii. And yeah, Botox helps with making me not have a resting bitch face, because I have been accused of having one of those sometimes.
So it's actually for our benefit.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay.
I do it for you guys.
Yeah, she's doing it for us. So we appreciate
so you don't think that I'm mad at you. That's why. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. So would that be Botox?
I guess. Shit. Just moisturize and lots of water and sleep and sunscreen. Yes.
Yeah. I gotta keep reminding myself that when I go surfing.
Yeah, sunscreen for sure.
Okay, cool. Louis Luzuka wants to know, how do you stay present to the moment instead of chasing the next achievement?
Wow, I love that question. See, if you asked me this 3 years ago, I would have a very different answer, but that wouldn't have even crossed my mind to stay present in the moment. But yeah, being present was a whole episode on a podcast we did as well. Just living with gratitude, I think, is the biggest way to slow that part down, and just really remembering, oh my God, this could be the only time I do this. And even if it is mean taking pictures of everything, like I don't think there's anything wrong with taking pictures to document it, but of course look at it with your real eyes too, because I love going and scrolling through all my old pictures. I'm like, oh my God, that's right, because it brings back those emotions and memories. So staying present would be just by trying so hard to take it all in with your eyes and remember what you're seeing.
Yeah. It's simple. It's that simple.
Slow it down.
Yeah, slow it down. Okay. Tania wants to know, what is the most diva-est thing you've ever done? I thought this was a funny question.
Oh my God, that is a good question. I don't know. Sometimes when my what is the word? When my capacity is very small, like my cup isn't filled, I think that's when I'm not a diva. Like, if you ask anybody, like, I really am not. I'm really freaking
That's what
kind
all divas would say.
No, I'm like so freaking awkward. If anything, I'm awkward. Like, I'm only now starting to feel like a grown up. I just always felt like a little dorky freaking girl my whole entire life. But no, when my cup is not filled, that's kind of when I start feeling a little bit like, no, like, I need these things, like help make this happen for me. So, you know, and I've been doing it for so long. Like when there's something like a rider where it tells you what you need, like I need a private dressing room that I can be alone in before I go on stage. And yes, don't let your brothers, uncles, aunties all come inside and swarm me when I'm trying to like get in my zone, like that. But then they don't do that for me. So then I'm in there and then now I look like a bitch when I'm like over here trying to be like, guys, I'm so sorry, but after I'm Pow, I would love to meet you. And then people, oh, she's such a diva. I'm like, brah, like, how am I supposed to go on stage? I like, had 4 hours of sleep last night because I had a kid, you know? So that's where it gets frustrating. And I look worse than I really am. But yeah, but I'm not like that diva, I don't think. I don't have like, I got my, they're fake Louis Vuittons. And I usually have broken nails. I don't know. What is a diva? What does a diva mean?
How do you define that? I think that goes back to boundaries, creating your own boundaries. And like some people just don't understand it, and it's just about communicating those things, right? Because like, you know, if you explain it to them like, hey, I'm not angry, I'm just hungry or something like that. You know, as simple as that, just communicating those things, but realizing it too, and like being okay with letting people know like, hey, I'm too tired to hang out.
Saying
like,
it in a
they
way.
have to understand that. Yeah, it's like, I can't have all these people here right now because I need to focus. You know, I'm sorry. We'll, you know, talk stories after. But I think people got to be easier on themselves. Yeah. To letting people down.
And you know what? That's honestly what a good, you know, manager is supposed to do for an artist or artist representation. And that's a whole nother category. I mean, we could talk about later, or Kimié would probably be able to talk about it because she's actually created her company by artists for artists, like try to help with those kinds of situations where so much, especially in Hawaii, everybody knows one another, that the artists don't get that representation, like that little barrier between them and the people who are hiring them or whatever. So it ends up making the artists not get what they need in order to execute an excellent show. And so, yeah, having a representative like that can do that be the bad guy for the artist, be the doo-doo girl or doo-doo boy for the artist so that they can stay in their glory would be the solution, I think, in some ways. So we don't look like divas.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. And, you know, asking for what you want isn't a bad thing because you know you know what you want. You know what fills your cup. You know what makes you happy.
Totally.
You know, if a private bathroom is what you want, like, yeah, that's
it's not too much to
ask. That's not too much to ask. Yeah. But yeah, that's why I have Jordan here. He does all the bad copying.
You're the bad cop.
I'm the good cop.
Yeah.
Look at that face.
He's not even paying attention. He's not even listening to us.
It's all right. He's working.
He's legit not listening to us at all. Wow. Totally, right?
We're just talking about you. We're talking crap about you. Yeah. You listen back to this and when you're editing it, you know. That's funny. All right. Last one comes from it's_Kene_boy. This person wants to know, what would you say is your biggest achievement musically?
Probably just the radio success in Hawaii and having people on the mainland know my songs. I don't know. And I've nurtured the mainland audience so much. Like, I feel like I'm one of the artists from Hawaii that really put in the work over the years. There's quite a few of us, but not every Hawaii artist does and hits the road on the mainland and, you know, loses money for a few years until they start making money. And so we're lucky in Hawaii that everybody who comes here, like visitors, can hear a song on the radio and it reminds them of their amazing time in Hawaii. There's a heartstring that's connected there. And so when I come to their city, they're like, oh my God, she's coming here. And they want to come. So that's a little like shoe in that we all have as Hawaii artists. And thank you to the radio stations for supporting these local artists and helping develop that. But yeah, I mean, that's another accomplishment, I think, is just the turnouts at my shows and stuff, because it's proof that, it's all working together to make that effect. Yeah, we just raged San Francisco this past weekend and it was just so freaking cool. It almost makes me cry, like when I'm like, oh my God, like you guys are all not from Hawaii and you guys all know who I am and are singing to my songs. Like it means the world to me. It's really
That's
cool.
awesome. It's also cool to see the support you have from people from Hawaii not living over here. You know, there's a lot of us all over the world that we don't realize how big the communities are. Well, even it's small in comparison to where they're living, not in big cities, but how many of their Hawaiian locals, displaced locals are out there in others.
Or the music of home that reminds them of their special place.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so mahalo for everybody for the Instagram questions.
Thanks, guys.
Please leave some in the next episode and maybe a question will make it on the podcast. All right, now I want to get to the deeper stuff. We actually have been talking about a lot of.
We're getting deeper.
So we're getting deeper. We're diving a little bit deeper into like culture and stuff. I like to talk about culture. You know, we're both Hawaiian. You went to Kamehameha. I went to Hawaiian immersion school. I went to a real Hawaiian school. Joking.
Were you waiting listed? You're talking like somebody who got on the waiting list. Nah.
No. I always use that joke on my sister because she's the only one in our family that went to Kamehameha.
Oh yeah, the one in Big Island though.
Yeah, the one in Big Island. Yeah, but my mom actually boarded and went to Kapalama.
She's from Hilo.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I wanna know, like, did you ever struggle with your identity as a Hawaiian? You know?
Oh wow.
Like I think a big thing is like being Hawaiian but not looking Hawaiian.
Oh my god.
Because I remember even in my Hawaiian immersion school, there were some people that look way more local than me. And like depending where you go, like if I went to the mainland, they would say I'm Mexican. Mm-hmm. And then if I'm hanging out with people here in Hawaii that aren't from here, they'd be like, "Oh, you're so Hawaiian." But then at my Hawaiian school, my friends would be like, "Oh, you're so Asian," you know. So it's just like, no, I'm Hawaiian, you know.
I know.
Like, oh, I just wish my skin was a little darker, you know. It's like, I wish I hate being not tan, and like, do I have to wear a gold chain and drive a lifted Yoda for you guys to know I'm local? Like, you know, there's all those identity crises.
Right.
Yeah. So,
yeah. I can definitely relate to that. Mm-hmm. I mean, absolutely. I mean, first of all, I don't look Hawaiian really per se. Like I have blue eyes. I've had light skin, blondish hair my whole life. But I've always gone by Anuhea. My dad is Hawaiian. My grandma's Hawaiian. My great-grandma, like I come from my dad's side, but my mom is from Oregon. My dad met my mom when he went to college in Oregon. And I definitely pull the more fair-skinned traits. But in my heart, like I was raised Hawaiian. Like I am proud to be Hawaiian, and you should be proud. I'm like fourth generation Kamehameha, Kulakaiapuni, Olelo Hawaii from 5 years old. Like, and there was a couple other fair-skinned girls, and even, you know, Kamakakehel Fernandez, you know, dark-skinned. He was my classmate in Hawaiian immersion as well. So we had a wide.
Oh wait, you guys are same year?
Yeah.
What?
Yes, he's 03.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, so we had the spectrum of
amazing story.
All colors of the rainbow in our class. So that wasn't really that identity crisis-y in Kulakaiapuni. But it's true, when I went to Kamehameha, there was an issue there for me. Like I never felt Hawaiian looking enough, or like and I was also weird. My parents were going through a really hard divorce and stuff. So, and I was the hiapo, I had a lot of pressure on me, and I was very tomboy at the time. So I don't know, all these factors led me to really not having a lot of friends in 7th grade. Like in 7th grade, I had a few friends that were in 8th grade. In 8th grade, I had a few friends that were in 7th grade. It wasn't up until 9th grade that I really felt like I belonged somewhere. And that was when, you know, Kimié guys always got accepted and I found them.
You found your crew.
I found my crew. People. But those couple years, I know that sounds like not that hard, but it was like, you know, I used to like hide in the bathroom. Girls used to full on tease me, haze me, put like shaving cream in my shoes, and like, you know, you can't call someone haole when they're at Kamehameha schools, but it's just the way they treated me, kind of just like an outsider. And I would never I never told the school this or anything. I never told on them to the dorm advisors, but that really affected me, I think, later in life. And then as I became more in the public eye, people might have like doubted, oh, who is this girl think she is? Or, you know, why is she making up some Hawaiian name when she's from California or something? I'm like, if you only had the time to like learn about. So that was an identity crisis. And then when I went to college in Orange County, California, where maybe some may think that I look like I would belong, I didn't feel like I belong. I'm like, who are all these freaking haoles? Like, ew, like, where's my people? Like, and I was a hard worker. There was a girl driving around with like a convertible pink Barbie car with her platinum blonde hair, and I'm over here riding my bike to Jamba Juice to work and pay for my college because my parents were poor, you know, like just a very different lifestyle upbringing. Like they're, you know, privileged people, and I was like a hardworking Hawaiian girl, and it just really was tough. And then also I started going by the name Riley at my job. That messed with my head. It really did. Like my name tag said Riley because nobody could say Anuhea. So I'm like, I'll just go by Riley and let's try this out. And it like really messed with my head, I swear to God. So I don't know. I think the end of the day and what I'm trying to teach my son and, you know, is just be proud of who you are. And like, you're never necessarily going to feel enough unless you believe that you are enough, and make sure that we teach our children that they are enough, because if that was impounded in my head at a young age and I never had any doubt, then maybe I wouldn't have suffered as long as I did, you know? We got to make sure that we're proud to be Hawaiian and make people know that we are Hawaiian. Yeah. That's what we are.
Yeah, and not be afraid to be proud of it. Be like, no, my name isn't Riley, it's Anuhea. And my name, Anuhea, that you can't pronounce isn't an inconvenience to me, it's an inconvenience to you. I'm not gonna, you know, conform to you just because you can't say my name.
I wish I would have had that attitude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a really lot of suffering that I didn't need to do, and I think I had to build myself back up again from that. Even when I was coming out with my first album and stuff, like, well, what do you want to go by? I'm like, I don't know, let's think of a band name or like a band name for me or something. They're like, no, just go by Anuhea. That's your name, right? I'm like, yeah, but oh my God, like, you know, are people going to be able to pronounce it? Like, who cares? Just freaking go by it. That's your name. I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, if they can't pronounce it, it's a learning lesson. It's you know, it's education. They're like, okay, now they know it's, Anuhea, that's how you say it. Not, whatever you said, Anuhea, whatever, you know. But again, it's their problem, not yours.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's what we got to remember as Hawaiians. Like, how come we, you know, got to go to places and like learn other people's languages or like conform to what they do, but people here, they don't be like, oh, I'm going to learn Hawaiian because that's what the local language is. I mean, you know, back in the day, now it's obviously English, but
like street signs and stuff, like people are trying to change them to be more appropriate, or even towns like Captain Cook, like they're trying to change Captain Cook to a Hawaiian name again. Yeah. Because it's so hard to pronounce. Like, that's not our problem. Like,
yeah,
that's
you're
what it's called.
In our home. You know, I don't go to your home and be like, I don't know, I don't know what that says because it's in Arabic. Can you take that down? You know, like,
yeah, let's just call it First Street.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's just like, people got their own cultures. You know, you're not supposed to, like, you can't have everything go your own way, especially when it's not your home. Especially when you're a visitor, or you're not, you know, Kanaka, whatever. That's a bigger thing that we can talk about. But I want to go on to some other questions that I have. Yeah. So I know you mentioned that your life goal is to, you know, spread, inspire people, spread aloha. Like, what motivates you to do that?
Well, the first day of rehab, I hate saying the word rehab. The first day of that amazing experience that I had in the bushes of Hakalau on the Big Island.
Hakalau boys, shout out to all you Hakalau boys. We used to jump off those bridges over there.
Oh, cool.
On the rivers.
Oh, yeah. We did an exercise, and it was actually supposed to be done on the last day of your stay there, but a lot of people were leaving when I had first arrived, so I just kind of sat in on this exercise. But we went through all these different words and adjectives, and by the end of it, you mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional, you pick one adjective in each of those categories that describes yourself, and by the end of this exercise, you're supposed to be able to say a beautiful, nice, complete sentence. And I am a beautiful, open, authentic woman forever, and my life's purpose is to inspire. Like, that was the final thing for me. And so inspiration is because, you know, like I mentioned earlier, it's kuleana. Like, I was put on this earth and have gone through my hardships not to just suffer. It's because I want to help others know that they're not alone, and make sure that they don't feel as alone that I felt in the past. Because there was times I felt so alone, like I'm the only one going through it. And so I need to write songs to make sure people never feel alone. I'm the hiapo of my family on both sides. Like I'm the eldest, cousin and everything. So I didn't have an older cousin to help me, guide me through, like, or get advice from, or get a fake ID from, or anything. I had to figure out all that myself. But no, just making sure people know that someone else has gone through what you're going through. You're not the only one in the world, and music is a great tool for that. And yeah, so that's my motivation to keep inspiring, because I would hate for anybody to feel as sad as I did at one point.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you accept the struggle. I think that's a big thing, is accepting all the bad we have in life and not just like holding on to that, but like moving forward, like knowing that was an important part of our growing up, our journey, and
thankful for it.
Yeah, I mean, because you went to that, maybe some other people don't have to go to that. Maybe your son doesn't have to go to that. That's something I became really grateful for as I got older, is realizing like I had such a good childhood, but I know it wasn't easy for my parents. So I always thought like, well, maybe they just struggled, so I didn't have to, and that that makes me really appreciate my family even more. And
totally.
Like, shout out to mom,
Aww.
dad, stepmom, stepdad, everybody listening, aunties, uncles, everybody going, helping us out, because yeah, it is like a team effort. And yeah, I'm really grateful for all of that, because I feel like even my brother, he's the oldest. I'm a middle child.
Okay.
Yeah, so like he probably went through like the harder stuff, because I was like I played sports all my life. I was like the golden child. I got to go on all these trips and whatever, and like, so if I needed shoes, they'd get me shoes. But my mom had 5 kids, went back to school, going to get her nursing degree with 5 kids, just like how taking us to practice every single day. Like, how the F did she do that?
Right.
I remember coming back home for a summer in college, and my mom just asked, "Oh, can you pick up Ku, my little brother, take him to paddling practice?" And I'm just like, I gotta go do that, and like gotta go pick him up. And it was like such an inconvenience to me. All I had to do was like take an hour out of my day to do that, where she had to wake up every single morning, cook us breakfast, take us to school, pick us up from school, take us to practice, all these other things. And I'm just complaining about taking my little brother to practice.
When did you realize that was messed up? Like years later, or like
years.
The next day? Yeah.
No, years later. Like, yeah, college, in my mid-20s, maybe early 20s.
Wait till when you have kids of your own. You know more kids.
Yeah.
Or do you have kids?
No, not yet.
Okay, but yeah,
not that I know of.
That will change everything for you too. Like
sure
all over
will.
again. You'll be like, oh my God, Mom, I love you so much. Like, thank you. Even just giving birth without an epidural, I'm like, how did you do it?
Yes,
Because I had one.
Yeah, I think the one thing I can like, another realization that I have because I'm 29 right now, and I'm the age where my parents already had me, and I'm thinking like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like,
right?
How, like, everybody older than you, older siblings, older people, you're in high school, you see somebody in college, you think, wow, they know everything. You see parents, like, they have it all figured out. And then you come to that position, like even teachers, you look at teachers like, wow, they're so smart. Then you become a teacher at the same age as that they were when they were teaching you, and you're like, I'm just faking it till I make it.
Right, they're just regular people. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I feel the same way.
Yeah, so it's so crazy, like having all these realizations as you get older. Okay.
Old is fun. I do enjoy it though.
Yeah. And yeah, as the main thing, take care of yourself, take care of your body, don't hurt anybody else. Stay young, enjoy our young looking jeans, and, we're good.
And sunscreen.
Yeah, and sunscreen. Okay. What is your dream collaborator? If you could work with anybody, who would that be? Let's go dead or alive. Let's not limit it to anybody.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh my God. I don't know. Oh my God. So many people. That's why I'm like, I would say like Justin Timberlake. Well, Jack Johnson is my like number one favorite of all time. But I know I have collaborated with him on stage and stuff before, but he's still just like so holy to me. I don't even want to like cross the line because
I'm surprised it hasn't happened.
Well, I'm just a nervous, awkward Anu that I just anyway, here, can we talk about it? I don't know, all the people who make big hits, all the people who do Justin Bieber's stuff, all the people who do all the R&B stuff that I love to listen to. It's hard to say. I love everybody.
Okay. Anybody on that level.
I know. I'm like, that's such a stupid answer. I can't really think right now.
If I could sing like you, I'd probably have the same answer.
Like
all those people. Jack Johnson, one of my top people. I want to get him on the podcast one day. So Jack, if you're watching this, collab, come on the podcast, and maybe even join our Patreons.
Hey.
Okay. What are you most proud of?
My son. I'm such a proud mom. He's the bomb. Ikena Jack. He's like, I named him after Jack Johnson and my grandpa named him.
He gotta do a collab after that.
But no, yeah, my son is 8. He's just awesome. Like, the compliments that I receive about my son, whether it's from a teacher or a fellow person or like an auntie or something, like, oh my God, your son is so polite, or your son is so nice, or he did that, he's so funny. I'm like, good job, Mom. Like, those compliments mean the world to me. And I know other parents out there understand this feeling, like, yes, must be doing something right. Like, you know that you're killing it when you're complimenting your kid. So, and I hope that only gets more and more as he gets older. Yeah.
I think that's cool. And it's a reflection on you and everybody else helping raise him.
Exactly. Yeah. His dad, his stepdad, his ex-stepdad, or my ex, his stepdad. Anyway, it's awkward. But there's a lot of people who are helping raise such an awesome kid. So I'll take a little bit of credit though. Yeah.
Take at least 50%.
Okay, 50.
Majority of
51,
equity, in that business venture. I call it business venture because he's gonna become an NFL athlete and buy you your house. So
he was on Sesame Street, so he might need some representation.
Awesome. Okay, what is something you wish people knew about you that they don't?
That I'm actually really like awkward and nervous most of the time, and if I don't come off like the bubbly, awesome Anuhea, is because I'm like all the time is because I have freaking ups and downs and mood swings and mental health, anxiety issues and stuff. So don't like think that I'm a bitch. Just understand that I'm human and sometimes I'm having a bad day. That's like a big one. Because I as much as you want to make like, I don't care what people think about me, I do. Like, I want people to like me. I mean, I want people to like my music. I want people to be my friend and to have a pleasant experience. So, but sometimes I feel a lot of pressure and it's overwhelming, and that can like give people the wrong impression maybe. So all good. Or just one negative comment, like, oh, she's so mean, but everyone else says, oh, she's so nice, and then one, I'm like,
just that one.
I'm still thinking about it years later.
You're human, just like the rest of us.
Yep.
Wow. Crazy thought. Okay. I love how real you're keeping it. Just want to say that. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Yeah. What are you most grateful for?
Life in general. Hawaii life, living in Hawaii, being from here, living
is the
here.
Best.
This beautiful like air that we get to breathe, and the beautiful ocean we get to swim in, and raising my son in Hawaii, and then all the people in my life that are also have this amazing vibe, like for real. Like, I've traveled around the world and there's nothing like, we are so lucky. We are so freaking blessed.
What do you think makes it so amazing?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Everything from the physical attributes of this beautiful aina, the mountains to the sea, under the sea, into the clouds, all of that. But
higher than the clouds.
Higher than the clouds. Yeah. All of it, including, the mana that is encapsulated within it, like all the stories and the history, and knowing that our ancestors like lived on this land, like all of those stories, and knowing like, oh, this place is sacred, or this is a kapware, that's a heiau before, this was a this. Like, I love that we still have that. It's not too far in the past that we can't still see it and remember it. And I love all the legends and the stories, and of course our language and our hula, all of these things. And the food. How do I not say the food? The food.
Yes, of course, the food. What's your favorite food? If you had to only eat one thing, what would you choose?
Oh my God. I mean, okay, one plate would be the Hawaiian plate.
And what's inside your Hawaiian plate?
I took a break from eating red meat and pork for like a long time, but I cannot not eat like lau when it's there in front of me, or at least the luau leaf like drenched in all the meat juices, like. And then spam musubi is like another one. If you know me, I have like a weird obsession with spam musubi. And
under your hat right there.
I do have a spam musubi hat and merchandise. I even have a song about it. It's just like a weird thing. It's like a comfort thing for me in my childhood.
Nostalgic.
Nostalgic.
Yeah.
And so spam flavored rice and nori when I wasn't eating spam was my little workaround. But yeah, chicken long rice dipped in poi, poke, freaking lomi salmon, all of it. It's all the bomb, as we all know.
Where do you think has the best Hawaiian food?
Oh, good question. You know, I think a good old-fashioned luau from somebody baby's first birthday party probably has the best, and it's probably a collaboration
honestly,
of everybody's.
It is, right? The graduation parties,
families,
the first birthdays, it's always the best Hawaiian food.
Catered places are cool too, but it's the when the auntie makes it at home and brings it in, that's the one.
Yeah.
That
is true. I think you're 4 bangles away from being one auntie.
You know what? I was just telling my boy that I don't have any Hawaiian bracelets.
Yeah.
Not a single one. No tuna cans on my arm. I have beads. I'm like, I gotta buy myself one. Shoots, I guess.
All right. Once you get those, then you've reached auntie status. All right. Oh, so what's next for Anuhea? Music wise, personal life wise.
Yeah. So I just on this journey of self-discovery, I think I finally feel like I'm hitting my stride, and some may say like I'm in alignment or I'm becoming. I'm always gonna be a work in progress. There is no final stage of enlightenment in this lifetime. I don't believe. We have to work on that for forever. But I feel like I'm hitting my stride. Like I posted a thing on my Instagram the other day. I just said like, upswing activated. Like I just feel like this is a cool trajectory. Like I had such a low point for the past couple of years, just trying to get through it. And I did all the work. I got through it. And now I'm finally like, like I came out the other end. Friends have been left behind. Relationships have been, not anymore. I don't want to say failed because I believe that everything is meant to be, but I just feel so much better about the future. And like, I'm really excited about it all. And I don't know exactly what's coming, but I know more music's on the horizon, maybe more opportunities in movies, maybe writing a book, maybe, I don't know, maybe new relationships, who knows? I don't know. I'm just really excited.
That's awesome. I love that for you. Happy to hear that.
Thank you.
I can relate. It's so nice to finally get to a point in your life where everything just feels in flow. It feels, you just feel good. You're happy about it, especially coming from a low point, from like rock bottom. They say it's only uphill from rock bottom,
Yeah.
So, yeah, because even like 2021 was a rough year for me, coming off Race to 50K, doing my student loans, being so burnt out and, not having a source of income and just like working for free so we can get this Hawaiiverse thing going. And now we're finally I'm finally at a point in my life where I'm just like, I'm comfortable. Yeah. I'm happy. A good relationship,
hitting your stride.
Like everything, hitting your stride, and it's such a good feeling. It's like you just wish that everybody could feel like this.
Dude, you're giving me goosebumps because seriously, like that is truly like the goal. Like I want everyone to feel like this, and learning whatever it is in your wheelhouse that is your thing, whether it's going to church, Jesus, whether it's learning about chakras and finding that alignment, whether it's getting more involved with nature again and reconnecting with the Aina or giving back to your community, whatever it is that you got to find what your thing is and activate that. And that will change your life. And I believe that that's a way that we can all get out of any sort of blockage that we might be experiencing,
Awesome. Love that. Okay. This is the biggest part of the podcast that everybody always waits for, is for the life hack.
God.
Do you have a?
Oh, you told me to do this.
You have a good life hack.
Oh my God, you told me to do this and I forgot.
Okay, I'll let you think.
Give me some examples.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. No worries. I know this is a hectic weekend. This is a last
Very
minute
hectic.
thing that we did. Okay. So a few was like, a popular one was cleaning while you cook. Like washing dishes while you cook, so dishes don't pile up. Tammy Moniz, she bought this thing called a fry wall, where you put it on top of what's it called, a pan, and it's like this big thing that blocks the oil from splattering all over.
So just things that make life easier.
Yeah, life easier. I think just like my joking one would be like, grow out your hair so you don't gotta get haircuts.
I know one. I got one. make fun of yourself before anybody else can. Take the freaking negative right out of their mouth and just kind of be like, oh, you think I have a fat ass? Well, I said it first or whatever. Like, make sure that that anything that somebody's going to say about you, you've already said it first, acknowledged it, owned it, and then like, are like, it is what it is. Yep, that is what. You know, I feel like that's
the ultimate 8 Mile, Eminem 8 Mile. When he's I am white, right. I am an effing bum. I do live in a trailer with all that.
Oh my God,
that's just 8 Mile it. That's what just 8 Mile it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Life hack.
Boom. Mic drop.
Made up that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Stupid. So silly.
I love that. It's quick thinking. Oh, okay. Wait. Before I get into my last, I just started this top 5 rapid fire questions.
Okay.
I forgot to ask you about Bretman Rock's party.
Oh yeah, Bretman Rock's party. How could we forget about
that? You were performing at the Baddest Says party.
He's so amazing. She's so amazing. I don't know, whatever. But he, right?
All of it.
All of it.
Non-binary.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how it happened. I was asked to perform, didn't get back to Tita because I was on the road. I'm like managing myself right now. So I'm like letting emails slide. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to respond to the Bretman Rock opportunity. And Bretman's like tagged me in a few videos in the past before. So I'm like, oh my God, he knows I exist. And like, I thought that was cute because I thought, oh my God, I'm so like old. Like, why does he like me? But I guess he has a soft spot in his heart for Auntie Anu because I guess my music was what he listened to when he first came to Hawaii, I guess. But anyway, so they asked me, oh, would you like to play at Bretman's party? I didn't respond. Finally, I'm like, oh my God, yes, I do. Yes, I do. They're like, oh, I'm sorry. We already have the Rebel Soldiers performing. I'm like, oh, shucks. They're like, but we'll come anyway. Like, we'll fly you up. We'll put you up. You surprise them. I'm like, oh my God, okay. And
awesome.
Definitely was like, had to tell my baby daddy, like, sorry, can you watch my kid even though it's like, watch our kid even though it's like my night to watch him because I gotta go to Bretman Rock's party. He's like, you're leaving to go to a party? I'm like, I'm sorry. He's like, oh, do you? He said that, do you? I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna do me. So I did, and I freaking didn't even know what to wear. I did my makeup in the freaking car and the ride over here. Like, I felt so ill prepared, but the vibes were so awesome. They were singing when I got there. I jumped up and did a couple songs, and in the middle of me singing Come Over Love, Bretman comes and makes his like big debut, and that was the video that was on social media, and he's just so awesome and sweet. And then at the end of the night, he had a moment and came back out and was talking story with us and the security uncles from West Side, and that was the really organic him that I got to know, and he's so sweet.
Yes.
Love her.
Yes. Bretman was awesome. I think people that's something I really hope people saw in that episode is he's just a very genuine, authentic person, like very down to earth.
He's hilarious.
Yeah,
like
so funny.
I didn't watch his show until after I already played at his party. And then I'm so glad I didn't because then I would have been probably fangirling like how I am to Jack Johnson. But even like the sister, I was like, oh, hi sis, like she looks familiar. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like the main character of the show, like with him. Like I would have been all like, oh my God, it's you, princess. But I was just like, oh, hi, princess, nice to meet you. I'm just such a freaking dork.
That's funny.
Thanks for having me, Bretman. It was super fun. Let's do it again.
All right, speaking of shows, I have some last 5 just rapid fire questions. What's your favorite show to binge?
Lately, it's been Married at First Sight.
Oh, I used to watch that with my mom during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Hilo.
Somebody who just had a failed marriage watches Married at First Sight. What a weirdo.
It's a pretty entertaining show, though.
Very interesting.
All right, favorite karaoke song?
Tide, Shoop, and Michael Bolton. Said I loved you, but I lied. I love that song.
Love it. Please don't ever sing karaoke with me. I would feel too embarrassed.
No. Bring it on. We love it.
Just kidding. Favorite date spot?
Who goes on dates? I don't go on dates. Maybe I will soon, but I don't know, bro. I don't know.
What is your ideal date?
Nice dinner and maybe sunset vibes. You know what? It was kind of cool. The Elks Club, because it's like you get to hang out at the pool. There's a bar. There's usually live music, something like that, or like Duke's or something like that, where there's action around, but you have like your spot. I think that would be kind of cool.
Oh, well, if anybody heard that, that's the secret. All right, favorite book.
Recently, Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I feel like that started my trajectory into self-care and not really giving a beep what anyone really thinks about what is normal and society's view of normalcy and everything. So if you guys read it or if you know what's up, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, she left her husband, her husband cheated on her, she left him, and then fell in love with a woman. Like, she didn't know she was a lesbian, but I guess she was, or she fell in love with the person. And just like all of that societal views and like what people are judging them. But she's like, no, this is me. Like, this is our new normal. This is our family's normal. And just having that perspective really inspired me to live a different type of life and not settle, I guess, for anything that's normal or that might be normal to the rest of the world. You make your own normal.
Yes.
Untamed, Glennon Doyle.
Untamed. Yeah, be unapologetically you.
Hey.
I think that's the word.
Yeah.
Or the phrase, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, favorite snack?
Mochi crunch and popcorn.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, support kakao. Yeah, I honestly love going to the movies just so I could get movie popcorn and sneak in my own arare mochi crunch.
We need more. They don't give enough there. And then I put M&Ms in it too sometimes. Do you like that with the chocolate? Oh,
yeah. What do you call it? Mochi crunch, arare, kaki mochi?
Mochi crunch? I don't know if it's a Maui thing.
Yeah, because I think some islands call it different. I think I say arare.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't call it that.
That's a big island thing.
Yeah.
Arare.
I shave.
Yeah. But okay, you heard this one, right? When was mochi crunch invented?
When?
The arare.
What did the horny, frisky rice say to the frisky spam?
I know. Let's get naughty.
Let's get naughty.
I love that one. I love those jokes.
It's so funny.
Okay. Actually have one more thing I want to ask you.
Okay.
Before we wrap up.
Totally.
Because I heard it on your podcast.
What is it?
With, I think it was the McKenna Maduli episode. 2 truths and a lie.
Oh, yeah.
You asked her. So I want to know your 2 truths and a lie.
Ooh.
And I want to let people, if, hopefully you're still listening, guess what the answer is. And then let us know if you actually guessed it. Comment on, I don't know, leave a review, comment, DM me if you actually guessed it right.
Okay. I played in Beijing, China.
Beijing, China.
Are you Googling? No.
No, I'm counting. No.
Okay, I played in Beijing, China. My favorite colors, green and
Green, Beijing, China. Okay.
I've gotten barreled at pipeline.
Surfboard or bodyboard?
Body surf.
Body surf pipeline.
Am I a horrible liar? Fucking, I don't know. Can we start again?
All right. Okay. I'm just gonna think that's not true. I don't.
You're right. How did you tell?
Okay. All right. So we can think about me and the audience. We're thinking about Beijing, China, favorite color green. Huh.
And just surf pipeline at one point in my life.
Okay. Surf pipeline. I feel like you said you said you surfed, so maybe I don't know how much of a hammer surfer you are, but I could see that. I could see it from usually outer island people. I respect that. Yeah, the pipeline.
I'm like really uncomfortable right now because I'm like I lied.
Okay, I'm just gonna guess. I'm gonna guess the green. I wanna say Beijing just because I don't know, but I feel like you're kind of looking up and stuff when you're thinking of the green one. So I'm just gonna go based off of body language.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you think my favorite color is not green?
I think it's not green.
Okay.
And you're not wearing anything green right now. But that's kind of like a bluish turquoise, like your bracelet. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, would you like to know the truth?
Yes.
Yeah, I've freaking never surfed pipeline. Crazy, what the hell is wrong with you? No, but I did surf one time, Chun's, and I freaking had the scariest experience of my entire life there, and never again. I'm more of a Waikiki, sand bottom, 10-foot board, freaking fake lays, pretending I'm a Roxy model with our underwater camera. That was us in high school.
That's
so
funny.
Much fun.
Yeah, North Shore is a different beast.
And green's my favorite color. And yes, I did play in Beijing, China at the Blue Note in Beijing. We were the first band artist from Hawaii to ever play there, because there's Blue Notes all over the world, and we've played at the one in Napa and the one in Hawaii, of course, and all over the world. Been to the one in New York, but Beijing, we were the first ones.
Nice. Okay, I forgot my own game that I still guessed green, but I already knew what the lie was. But I still guessed green was the lie.
You're going to have to edit that.
Yeah. No, it's right. It's all right to make mistakes. I don't mind making mistakes. It's
You're
okay.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's human. Yeah. That's a great way to end the podcast. Being wrong.
Perfectly imperfect. Everyone.
Yes, perfectly imperfect. Awesome. Well, mahalo so much for coming on the podcast, taking time, rushing over from your rehearsal. I know you're about to go on tour.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you.
I'm really excited. You asked me to mention what I wanted to tell people if I have something coming up. So yes, I am touring the mainland, but I forgot I am playing at the Republic on September 17th. You think this is going to air before then?
Yes, it will.
I know this will live on forever, but September 17th, the Republic, it's like a big coming home show for me, because I usually tour the mainland and we never really play at home. So it's really exciting to come there. So maybe you guys will see you over there.
Yeah, I'll try to check it out. My first Republic concert, I think, was Kimié.
Okay.
That was my first time seeing her in like 2014, 2015. Yeah, and ever since then, she's been one of my favorite artists.
Mm-hmm,
yeah, so hopefully she'll come on the podcast.
Yep, she definitely will.
Do you guys ever? I'm sure you guys done concerts together before, but
yes, and we're hoping to do even more this year.
That
we're
would be a
actually
dream
working
lineup. You, Kimié, Jack Johnson, Paula Funga,
we can make that
and
happen.
The Green.
Oh, and the Green.
Oh,
yeah.
that would be. And then
the Green's the wild card, because those guys are always so busy.
Kai Scannon opening up for them.
Ooh.
That would be just my dream concert.
You're from Big Island. Yeah. I get it.
Hey, shout out to him.
Love them all.
Yeah. All right. So where can people find you, or like buy tickets, support you, Patreon, all that, podcast?
All my stuff is on Anuheajams.com. That's my website, Anuhea Jams. I have my Instagram, I have my Facebook. I don't really mess around with Twitter too much because it got hacked before. So yeah, proceed with caution on that one. But everything else is me. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, just thank you. You're so awesome. And isn't he killing it, everybody? You've come a long way and you're doing so well. And it's really cool to have you representing, the voices of Hawaii like this, in this way. And I'm going to listen to every single other episode now. I probably should have done that before I came on the show.
No worries.
But I'm super stoked.
It's not going anywhere.
Okay, good. Hell yeah.
Yeah, whenever it's convenient for you.
And then thank you to everybody else out there for sticking through. And yeah.
Yes, so go support her, listen to the podcast, listen to her music, buy merch, like this hat, everything. And you're awesome. Can't wait to see what else you accomplish in life. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, mahalo Anuhea for joining us on the Hawaiiverse podcast. Check us out on Hawaiiverse.com, the best place to support local. Spread aloha, be kind to one another, and mahalo for listening to us today. New episodes every Thursday, so make sure you follow us and leave a review. I'm your host, Kamaka, and you'll hear me next time on the Hawaiiverse podcast. Ahui ho.
Cheers.